when I was younger, I didn't really understand the concept that I was illegal per se. So, that there were certain things I couldn't do or limitations because of, I didn't have a social security number.
This is the Real Food, Real People podcast.
Can you imagine not feeling a sense of belonging in the community where you live and where you go to school and go to work? It's the story for millions of Americans right now because of their immigration status or lack thereof. And that's the story of Miguel Navarrete, who we talked to this week, talking about coming to America illegally from Mexico as a young child. Wasn't his choice, but something he had to live with for a long time. And he explains what that was like and also the process of changing that reality in his life. He's a farm worker on a dairy farm in eastern Washington, and he also breaks a lot of stereotypes with the kind of work that he does, not the kind of work that you would normally associate with a farm worker on a dairy farm. But he's got a great story. He's a fun guy to hang out with. And I know you'll enjoy getting to know Miguel Navarrete this week, hearing his story and what things are really like on a real Washington dairy farm right now. Thank you to our sponsors, Mana Insurance Group. They're all about having a plan ahead of time. So insurance doesn't just have to be about picking up the pieces, but it's about, taking proactive steps to protect your financial future. So we appreciate their support for the podcast this season. Also, Dairy Farmers of Washington, inspiring the desire for local dairy, and wadairy.org is their website. They've got a virtual farm tour there that you really should check out. So you can kind of see more of the things that we talk about quite often here on the podcast, at least when we talk with dairy farmers. Also, Washington Red Raspberries supporting the podcast. We appreciate them stepping up to help us share these stories of real farmers here in Washington State. And then also Williams, helping power your clean energy future. They supported us generously this season as well. Thank you to all of them, and enjoy this week's conversation with Miguel Navarrete. You're doing computer stuff, IT stuff all the time here on the farm. Like, what kind of stuff do you do?
So basically, manage all the software from DairyCom, which is our herd management software, Dairy Plan. We got the meters, sort gates, Easy Feed, which is the feed management software. We got the feed trucks, the mixers, all the devices in that. The network, all the computers, the devices, even like security cameras.
Yeah.
Got to take care of that. Our entrance gate, security gate, our fuel system. Pretty much everything has a computer in it. Yeah. I'm the one you call.
It's a lot to keep track
of. Oh,
yeah.
Yeah.
How do you remember all? Because I'm sure they all work a little bit differently.
Yeah. They all have their process, their different programs. So I just have a log notebook I keep down all the issues I have that day, and I prioritize it so I know what I have to get done that day.
Yeah. So what's the biggest problem that you have to face? Like the internet going down?
I guess the biggest problem would be like a software crash.
Mm-hmm.
Those are unexpected, and they're usually like the toughest to resolve.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like you can just reboot the computer and you're back to normal. Sometimes we have to call like support companies, and they have someone remote in, and if I can't solve it, and that's probably the worst. And those usually happen Saturday at 5 p.m.
Right. Yeah. Just when you're wanting to go home and have a good time, and then you're stuck fixing a computer.
Yeah.
But it's better than having to get the wrenches out and
that's for sure.
Fix like a machine.
Yeah.
What do you need all of this IT, all this tech for on a dairy farm? Like how does that fit? Because I think, a lot of people think of dairy farming, it's like milking cows, feeding cows, harvesting crops. Like that's all stuff you do by hand or with tractors but more and more, there's a computer involved in just about everything on a farm, right?
Yep.
What's the benefit, I guess, of having all of this computerized stuff? What's the need for it?
So the basic need is to make everything just a lot more efficient. For example, on our DairyCom software, we have these handheld devices where our our workers. They're treating a calf or they're diagnosing a disease. They're breeding cows. Any health event of that sort, they enter it directly on their smartphones. They download that into our herd management software.
Mm-hmm.
And before, back in the day, we would have to write everything down like on a notebook or notepads, and you have a lot of errors, mistakes.
Yeah.
Those get lost. So it just makes everything way more efficient.
And then there's a lot of machines that like run in the background, like a manure separator or different things like that.
Yeah.
That in the old days it was either on or off or whatever, but now you can control a lot more of it via tech, right?
Yep.
So it's kind of keeping all that stuff
In check, yep.
Yeah, in check.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not like this farm has become a factory because you're saying there's still people there. It's helping the people be more efficient with what they're doing. How did you get into IT?
So I got an interest in IT when I was in high school.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was like 10th grade.
Where'd you go to high school?
Pasco High.
Yeah.
Yep. So 10th grade, I took my first computer science class. Because before that, I didn't know computers. So I took that. I was interested in that, and after that, I just fell in love with it. Just anything to do with computers, software, technology. I guess that's where I got my interest in.
Yeah. So what did you do after high school?
After high school, I went to CBC.
Okay.
And I took computer courses there.
Mm-hmm.
I did. I actually got a bachelor's of cybersecurity from CBC.
Nice.
Went through the whole program, and yeah.
Cybersecurity, that sounds pretty intense.
Mm-hmm.
But as we're finding with everything happening in the world right now, it's more important every day.
Yes.
I mean, that used to just sound kind of like something from a sci-fi movie back like when I was in high school. But now it's like our day-to-day life, making sure that our money is safe, our lives are safe, all these things. Cybersecurity.
Mm-hmm.
What's the key to it?
I guess the key is just trying to stay one step ahead. Because, there's malicious people out there. Their full-time job, their goal is just to find vulnerabilities in software and just exploit them.
Mm-hmm.
So you just got to stay one step ahead. Make sure you have everything patched up, updated, and I mean, no system is fully 100% secure, right? The only way to make something secure is to lock it up in a closet, unplug the power, no internet. That's secure, but then it's useless, right?
Yeah.
So
exactly.
It's just trying to just stay ahead of them.
Stay ahead of the bad guys.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's what so many people have been telling me too. I remember even in college, it's like, yeah, if your computer is hooked up to the internet, like they can get to
You're
you.
a target, yeah.
Like, really? But I have, antivirus software. That's not going to help you. Which scared me. And it still scares me because I don't know. I mean, I'm not near smart enough to do all the kinds of stuff that you do. So but you didn't work in farming right out of college, did you, with that degree? You were doing other things.
So I actually started working here when I was 18.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So as soon as I graduated from high school, I started TBC, and so my stepdad's actually the manager here.
Okay.
So he's the one that got me started here.
Awesome.
And I was doing the dairy com stuff, just basics. I was working 3 hours a day.
They were probably like, hey, you're in school for IT. Like, help us out.
Yeah. And ever since, just kind of, over the years, just kind of grew into a full-time position here.
Mm-hmm. And probably 10, 15 years ago, there wasn't enough work in IT on a farm. No. But now with everything being controlled by something that's digital, then it has to be. So what else do you do on the farm, though? Do you just do that stuff, or?
So I'm starting to do it somewhere like bookkeeping in the afternoons. Yeah. Kind of want to transition into a new role as well, expand my knowledge and learn other areas of the business as well. So we're slowly working on that to just transition over to some of that.
Do you get to help with the cows or out in the field at all?
Not very often.
Not very often?
I guess the only time I would get dirty is like if like a feed truck, sometimes have to work on the load cells check the wiring, because
Right.
that's what measures the weight.
Right.
And you have to make sure it's accurate, because you want to make sure you're feeding the right amount to the cows.
So the actual truck that brings the feed to the cows has scales in it, so you know how much.
Yeah. There's 6 load cells, and that goes into an indicator, and that translates the electric signal into weight. So that's how you know how much you're feeding per pen, basically.
Wow.
Per cow. So
it's crazy because people talk, we've talked on this podcast a lot about like making sure cows are fed right and they have the right nutrients and they're super healthy and all of that. But that's what makes that happen.
Mm-hmm.
Because all of those good ideas are for nothing if you don't know what's actually in the truck that you're bringing to the cows. So it all rests on that.
Yep.
And then when it crashes or a wire gets pinched or something,
You
Miguel,
have trouble,
come fix it. So, is there farming in your family's background? Like, did you grow up around that? I mean, you said your stepdad was manager here and brought you on.
Yeah, not a whole lot in my background.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So you didn't. What like when you were young, what were your parents doing, or what kind of work did you grow up around?
So I grew up in Mexico.
Mm-hmm.
My mom was a secretary.
Okay, yeah.
And my stepdad was, he worked in finance.
Okay.
So, not really related to this, but.
So it's like, in some ways, you're the first generation of your family that's really connected to farming.
Oh, yeah.
What part of Mexico did you come from?
Michoacan.
Yeah.
Uruapan, Michoacan. Yeah.
Awesome.
I came here at the age of 8.
What was that like?
Oh, I was just so young. I didn't know what was going on.
Yeah. So did your whole family come at the same time?
Not in the same month, but like just in the same year, I would say. But it was just because when I was young, I would hear, the U.S., it's everybody wanted to come here, and I was so young, I didn't really fully understand. But when I got here, it was just another world. It was
culture shock.
Yeah, culture shock. Yeah.
How long did it take you? I guess you're young, so when you're young, you can get used to things pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Right? So
I guess the biggest thing was the language barrier, just because I got thrown into, I think it was 3rd grade, and I mean I took ESL classes,
right?
But outside of that, it was just because you don't understand anything,
right?
So
it could probably make you feel kind of isolated.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I know if you were to just drop me into Mexico right now, I know about that much Spanish, enough to be dangerous and probably make a total fool of myself. But I would feel lost, I wouldn't know what to say. So I can't imagine being in that position. And in some ways, maybe more scary as a kid. But when you're a kid, you can learn language better too, right?
A lot faster too. Yeah.
That's why I'm kind of screwed now, because I want to learn more Spanish, but I have an old brain now and doesn't learn it very fast. I should have paid more attention when I was in school to my Spanish classes. How did all that immigration stuff go? How did you get to where you are now, immigration wise?
Mm-hmm. So when I was younger, I didn't really understand the concept that I was illegal per se. So, that there were certain things I couldn't do, or limitations because of I didn't have a social security number,
right?
And it was it was kind of hard to grasp that, and frustrating at times. But then President Obama in 2012, he passed an executive order, DACA. I applied for that. I fulfilled all the requirements, and that gave me a work permit and a social security number. So I'm working here legally under my name, and that has opened so many opportunities. Just having that sense that you not that I matter, but that I'm a real person in a way. You don't have to use a fake name or hide in the shadows anymore. You can come out and be yourself, and with that, I was actually able to purchase my first house in 2019. I built up my credit and I purchased my own house.
Yeah, because if you're undocumented, how would you do that?
Yeah, no, it's a lot harder.
Yeah.
It's a lot harder to do that.
What is it that you think people don't really understand about being in that position, being undocumented, but wanting to work and have status? And you described it as like living in the shadows. Mm-hmm. You think people get that?
Not really. So, I mean, it's not like we're undocumented by choice, right? Because a lot of people say, oh, just go apply for citizenship. I've seen a lot of comments like that. And it's not that easy. You can't. It's not like you just go buy a cheeseburger, right? There's a whole process, requirements you need, and most of us don't qualify for that. And we came here for a better life.
Yeah.
And we want to do good in this country. We're not here to do any harm. We just want to better ourselves. And when you're undocumented, it's hard to do that. And it just makes you feel like you don't belong here.
Mm-hmm. People don't realize how much it costs either to become documented the regular way or whatever you want to call it. That a lot of people will say, oh, yeah, just go do it, like you said. It's really expensive to do, too, on top of being really complicated. And nobody tells you what to do step by step. I've experienced some of this because I married a Canadian. My wife came from Canada. She wasn't undocumented, but still just trying to do it the right way, which we were trying to do. We didn't have a lot of money. So it was like, can we afford this next step? It's so hard to do. So I totally understand why there are a lot of people that can't do it with the system the way it is. And I think the system right now is broken. I don't know. What do you think needs to happen with immigration?
What I feel needs to happen is we obviously need some kind of amnesty to legalize the 15, 20 million that we have right now. Because they're good, hardworking people. They want to contribute to our society.
Yep. And
that would just really help everybody out. They're punishing everyone for one bad apple. Right? They stereotype everybody. They just look at the bad things.
Yeah.
They highlight those, but all the good things, they look away.
What about the rest of your family? Have they been through all of that too? Or, I'm sure it was difficult coming here in the first place with all of that. Was that scary?
Yeah, it was just, well, they got here at an older age. So like you said, it's harder for them to transition over and just adapt to everything. But yeah, I would say most of my other family members, they, in a way, one way or another, have become permanent residents. So, so most of them are good now.
But I'm sure that wasn't easy for them.
Oh no!
Even though they wanted to do it right.
Yeah, there's always a price to pay.
Yeah. And that's also where I get frustrated with people, because I think they assume that, people come here and they're undocumented and they just don't want to follow the rules. But those people who criticize like that haven't been, like in my position and my wife coming here, we wanted to follow the rules and it was so hard to do. It was crazy. Like, we finally did it, but it took years and it was challenging. Even when we thought we had everything done, you got to file for this, or you got to go to this, and you have this appointment at some random place. And nobody tells you that you're supposed to go. Who's going to tell you to do it? We even hired a lawyer at one point because we were so confused. We could barely afford it, and then it turned out that the lawyer didn't really even help us very much.
Oh, wow.
But it's like, what's the next form that you're supposed to file? And what time do you file that at? And where do you submit it? And it shouldn't be this hard to just follow the rules and try to do it right. Yeah, the system is broken. What do you see as the future on that? Do you hear any good signs that might be getting better? Or I know politically it's still such a difficult issue.
Yeah, no, it's something that's not going to be solved overnight, obviously.
Yeah.
It's going to take a couple years, if then, to fix that.
Yeah. So even with all of that pressure and knowing that they were facing all this difficulty, it was still worth it to your family to come here?
I think so.
Why? Why did they, knowing that they were facing this challenge, why did they still want to do it?
Just I guess we just had hope.
Yeah.
Hope that we would have a better life here.
Yeah.
Because Mexico's where I'm from, it's hard over there. Hard to find a good paying job, and then you have the drug cartels down there too.
Yeah.
It's really unsafe. So we just wanted somewhere where we can be safe.
Yeah. Have a family, not have to worry about somebody trying to mess with that.
Mm-hmm.
Totally. What did it feel like when you finally got all your papers and that was all done and you didn't have to worry about it anymore? What did that feel like?
Oh, it was a huge relief. I even got to travel. I applied for advanced parole, and I actually got to go to Mexico in 2016 to see my family.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, my dad's head of the family. So that was amazing. Just after not seeing him for so many years.
Yeah. Yeah, because that's the other thing. If you're undocumented, you can't visit. There's none of that.
Mm-hmm.
Crazy. How many years had it been since you saw them?
So I was 16 years.
16 years that you hadn't seen your family over there.
Mm-hmm.
Crazy. What was that like to walk in the door and see them again?
Well, I was just got a shock down my spine. It was great.
Awesome. How much family do you still have in Mexico? Quite a bit?
Basically my whole dad's side.
Yeah.
Yeah. And all his brothers and sisters, and then obviously all my cousins. So it's quite a lot. Yeah. Those 2 weeks weren't enough.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Are you going to go back anytime soon?
I'm hoping.
Yeah.
Once this Corona just goes away and get back to normal.
Exactly. So every day it's just computers and tech, go, go, go.
Yep.
For you. What's it like working with the employees on the farm? Do they like the tech? Because a lot of people who have been around farmers, farm workers, those kind of people aren't really into tech usually. I know, like even my dad isn't too bad, but a lot of people of his generation working on a farm, it's like, just get it done the old way, right? Is that a challenge?
It is a challenge because, most of them are not very tech savvy. Mm-hmm. And just the language barrier, because it's all of our software is in English and everything. So that is a bit of a challenge. But little by little, we start teaching them, they start understanding. And once they really fully understand it, they love it because it makes their job easier. They have so much information in the palm of their hands. So
that helps so much that you, as the IT guy, then are bilingual, so you can help bridge that gap and say, okay, this is what's really going on. Yeah. Otherwise, I had never thought of that because a lot of like consumer software, you can just tap something and switch the language, but probably on these more like proprietary, software pieces for on a farm, you probably can't switch it to Spanish.
Yeah, not everything. Mm-hmm.
Some things you can, though.
Yeah, some things,
That probably helps.
Yeah.
But then you have an English-speaking person go to use it, and then they get, how do you switch this thing back?
Yeah, switch it back.
What about, some of the issues that have been coming up around farming, different people's perception of farming? Talk about that. What do people misunderstand about how farming now works?
Mm-hmm. I just feel in general, a lot of people just don't really understand where our food comes from. I'm sure there's people out there that they think milk is just produced at Walmart. They just pick it up and just make it in the back room. Yeah, there's a lot of people that there's a whole process that's required to get the food on their table, and I think there should be more awareness about that, just where your food comes from and how it gets there.
Why do you think that is, or what is it that you think people really don't understand about their food?
I don't know if it's just this generation. That's because we got the social media and then all the just all the other stuff going on in the world that they don't focus on the important stuff.
Mm-hmm. Do you ever have people outside of your job here say, "Oh, dairy farming, that's bad"? I know dairy farming is criticized a lot because there have been some people out there that have said basically dairy is bad. It's bad for the cows and these kinds of things. Do you ever get that from other people?
I was hearing about the methane gases, how it was polluting.
Mm-hmm.
That's part of what I've heard in person. But besides that,
yeah, not too bad.
Not too bad. Yeah.
Helps that it's a farming community.
Oh yeah,
around here.
yeah. Tri-Cities, yeah, it's pretty.
Yeah, people know about farming
Yeah,
here
a lot more than other places. Yeah.
Go to Seattle and
Oh yeah.
very few people have seen like how a farm like this works.
Mm-hmm.
What about some of the labor stuff? I know you testified recently before a committee in Olympia on overtime issues for farm workers. You're a farm worker. You work for a farm.
Yes.
What's your perspective on all of that?
So they need to realize that like, every action they take, like the actual effect, because like for example for the overtime, did they ask any of the farm workers if they wanted to be paid overtime or how that would affect them possibly? It's
yeah. So how is it affecting workers?
Yeah. So I know many places have cut the hours back, no more than 40 hours.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously that's a smaller paycheck for all the workers. And they have families to support, they have bills to pay. Some of them even have mortgage payments, and
Yeah.
that's a huge blow to them.
I suppose some people might say, well, the farmers shouldn't be cutting their hours. That's not fair. But then other people are saying, well, this change is a victory for the 40-hour work week. But is that what workers want? I guess is the question. And that's what you're saying. Like, did they talk to those workers about that?
Yeah.
Do workers want a 40-hour work week?
I think what the worker wants is just the bigger paycheck.
Yeah.
They would prefer working 60 hours, just regular pay, instead of working 40 and getting paid overtime, because you're not going to get the overtime.
Right.
Because, for example, there's a lot of businesses in town. You can go to Walmart, McDonald's. They don't give you overtime. The law is there, but they don't give you. They give you 35, 38 hours, and if they get close, they send you home. So if these multi-billion-dollar corporations don't pay overtime, why should they expect us to, right?
Yeah.
Or
that's
these
a good
farmers,
point.
yeah.
Yeah. What are the margins in dairy farming? Is very, very tight, right?
Yeah.
It's crazy. So do you talk to the guys about that? What are the workers saying these days about the whole situation?
Okay. So at our dairy, I can't speak for every dairy.
Yeah.
But here what we did is we cut the hours back, but only up to the so they're still making the same amount. So if in 60 hours they were making $2,000, just an example, they're probably working like 53 hours and still making that same. So they're still taking that same amount home, but working less hours. That's what we decided to do here, because I know there's other places that if someone was making $18, $17 an hour, they're brought back down to minimum to $13.69 and then paid overtime on top of that. So if a guy has been working there 10 years, he's making the same amount as someone's first day,
Right.
because he brought them all down to the same level, and we didn't want to do that here.
Yeah. But it's expensive.
Oh
too,
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Which I suppose you see that now if you're in bookkeeping and stuff. You know, it's like things are tight. It's not like there's just extra money.
Yeah. No.
To change things like that.
And like with the milk, you can't change the price of that. You get paid based off the market. It's not like you can just go pass it on to the consumer.
Right.
So you're kind of just against the wall there. You can't do anything about that. And
Which, like these big companies that you talk about, they can do
oh
that.
yeah, they can,
But they don't.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
They just cut people's out.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's a part that a lot of people don't understand about farming. The farmer doesn't get to say how much they get paid
Mm-hmm.
for the food that they're producing. It's crazy.
Yes.
There's like almost no other industry or economy like that compared to farming. So what's the future for you? You want to always keep doing this, or what you're going to do any more school? Or I imagine in the tech world, you know, there's always more to learn, right?
Oh,
As
yeah.
things keep evolving.
Mm-hmm. That never stops. So
Yeah. You get continuing education stuff. Probably you have to do it for new software, different things, and
yep.
do a course to get up to speed on how this thing or that thing works.
Yep. Or just adding new software, just new programs, because we're always trying to evolve here.
Yeah.
Trying to make everything more efficient. So we're constantly, you know, switching programs or adding new software to help us become more efficient.
So you never get bored.
No.
What do you wish? I guess we talked a little bit about this, but what do you wish folks like in Seattle or other places that are far from farms like this, what do you wish they knew? What would you like to tell them about how farming actually works and where their food comes from?
I just wish they knew that it's not as simple as it seems. Just, you know, do your research, you know, come out to a farm, you know, come down, you know, kind of really learn how much work it takes.
Yeah.
To get that gallon of milk in your fridge.
Or ice cream.
Or ice cream. Or cheese. Yeah. Or just any other fruit or.
What's your favorite dairy product if you had to pick one?
Probably ice cream.
Ice cream.
Vanilla ice cream.
Most people say that. When I talked to your colleague Felipe last year, he said it was the cheese.
The cheese.
He said that because he likes his quesadillas.
Oh, yeah.
So he had to go for the cheese. Does it make you think about your food differently now when you sit down to a meal?
Yes.
And
Yep.
because there may be dairy products in what you're eating, but there's other things too. And each one of those is complicated in its own way.
Mm-hmm.
Even in something as simple as a quesadilla, you know, the wheat for the tortilla, or, you know.
Yeah, the chicken. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's like that's a whole nother.
Oh, yeah.
So what are your dreams with this? Do you want to stay in the world of farming and keep doing IT stuff? Is that
yes,
kind of a good combination for you?
as long as I'm doing IT, I'm happy because I enjoy what I do.
Yeah.
You know, I like coming to work and just troubleshooting all these issues and figuring out what caused that and why and how to prevent it. It just.
Would it be the same for you if you were doing IT at just a factory that made whatever widgets? Would you feel the same way, or is there something different about it doing IT to produce food?
It is a bit different because, you know, you're working with live animals. Mm-hmm. You know, it's not just a product, whatever you call it. It's you're feeding actual cows. They have to get milked. It's a lot more sense of responsibility and more importance, I would say.
And food safety too. I guess I didn't think about that. Probably there are software systems and whatnot that you have to maintain that ensure that those kinds of things too, to make sure the food is safe. You know, even just tracking like the temperature of the milk and things like that in the tanks and.
Yep, drug withdrawals.
Yep.
Make sure you don't milk any cows that has antibiotics or sell it to beef after, you know, before the withdrawal date. So
right.
Yeah.
So there's, because of your systems and other testing, there's no way that can get into the milk.
Nope.
You make sure.
Mm-hmm.
That's good. Well, thank you for sharing your story. It's fascinating to hear how you have all the things that you've gone through to get to where you are now. So I'm I'm sure you should feel proud of yourself, what you've accomplished and the hurdles that you've overcome to be in this position now. I think it's awesome. So good work.
Thank you.
Awesome. And I'm sure I could learn a few things from you on IT too.
Oh, yeah. Just give me a call.
This is the Real Food, Real People podcast. These are the stories of the people who grow your food.